This video, we're going to break down cursed gear. Cursed gear at the moment is kind of fun, but also kind of useless, and we're going to break down the reasons why, and Kitty Cat has some opinions about cursed gear as well this morning, so let's get going. I've been using cursed gear for a while now. In fact, if you actually look at the game at the moment, I've been farming a lot of cursed gear. I got a lot in here. I got a lot in here. In fact, I've been farming so much cursed gear that my essence mastery is taking a hit because I don't want to crunch the stuff into the essence mastery. I want to hold on to my gear. I want to use it all. As you can see, I was just testing the 4-piece Nether counterattack set. And the reason I want to test all of the gear is because I need to know if it's good or not. And as I have been using it more and more and more, I have found myself more and more just wanting to not care about this system literally at all. You see, the cursed gear system is fairly hard to actually use as a player. If you look at the way it works when you're in the game here, let me show you. Go to the blacksmith, go to the cursed gear, click on Reforge, and look at how many different sets there are. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is 9 different sets. So when a legendary piece of gear drops, not only does it need to be a cursed piece of gear, if you got it outside of the cursed towers, it is a chance that it is cursed gear, but it also needs to be the 1 out of 9 sets that you want it to be. It also has to be a upgrade, because at the moment, if I use, let's say I want to use something that's not an upgrade, like if I decide I want the 4-piece Nether set, well, my combat rating right now is 13,532. So if I equip on the Nether set, because this is what I had to do in order to try it, I go from that to 13,326. I'm literally losing 200 combat rating and some other stats because I just want to try out this set. Now, you might think, okay, if this was almost anything else, once you have the upgrade, it just transfers with it, no big deal, but that's not how cursed gear works. If I get another upgrade, it's going to replace the cursed gear with whatever the stats on the other one are, okay? It's not like an essence transfer system or something like that. And the only way, once I get an upgrade in which I can actually make it into the one I want it to be, is I have to go doing this rerow. And if I go to do the rerow, it's quite expensive because you need these purification stones, which you don't really get very many of. What this actually means for most people is you're stuck in a position where you have to get an item that's an upgrade. It has to be a cursed item as well. It has to be the cursed item for the set that you're wanting to work on. But then let's not forget there's even another layer of RNG you really need, which is the piece of gear that you're working on needs to not have a negative effect that you're trying to avoid. I have a 3% negative duration reduction right here. This is a very bummer of a stat. If I look at this one right here, okay, I scroll down to the 4-piece, I have primary attack is reduced by 3%. That's another fairly large one. If I scroll down here, another primary attack, 3%. So now we're 6% reduction. This one reduces my maximum life by 1%. So I'm losing just a ton of stats just for having it, not to mention the combat rating and everything I have to lose. Right now, if I wanted to get an actual piece of upgrade for me, I would have to get, something that's better than this, 430, 428 with these stats. I'd have to get something that's better than this. I'd have to get something that's better than this, or better than this. These are all items that are currently better than the curse set I have, and they would have to not have the negative effects I want. This is one's another beneficial equip, so if I go back to the ones that I really like, if I decide to actually rerow these where I could have a beneficial effect that I actually cared about, then I would have 6% negative duration effect because this one and the other one in here somewhere, they've already got a negative beneficial effect. This one's got prime. This one right here has got a negative beneficial. So that'd be 6% reduction of beneficial effect, which I'm just not going to do because that's a significant chunk. So all of these issues basically make it where it's almost impossible to get in a scenario where the cursed gear dropped as an upgrade with the set you wanted. It's pretty dumb. I actually thought what was going to happen is that the cursed gear, you would disenchant it, and if you disenchanted it, you would get a purification stone for disenchanting a cursed piece of gear. That would kind of make sense to me. Or I thought maybe PvP rewards kind of blow. Maybe they're going to add in, next to the Reforged Stone, purification stones. But it's not there either, so we're not really given the tools to use this system. They added a system in which the cursed gear requires many levels of RNG. It has to be an upgrade, have to have the correct curse property, have to have the correct negative property, it has to be in the right spot, blah, blah, blah. You get all these layers of RNG, okay? But they don't give you the tools in which to acquire the gear at any pace that feels decent. Now, I can understand if this was the last hell difficulty and we were capped at 600 Paragon, where we're all the same Paragon, we're not going to go higher, but that's not what's happening. We are increasing Paragon level continually. And as you increase Paragon level, the stats in which the legendary gear that the cursed gear is on will do nothing but continually raise. Okay, so as these stats are raising, that means obviously we're getting upgrades. So the cursed gear will be replaced by nature of the way the game itself just works. Well, because we're replacing the cursed gear all the time, that's not very incentivizing for us to put a lot of effort into min-maxing these cursed sets. The system doesn't really make sense from a player-sided point of view. Now, I can understand when you design it, it sort of makes sense. You think, hey, set bonuses are really cool, which they are. They come out with new cool sets. I really like this new poison set, by the way. I thought it was going to be worse than this. I actually quite like it. Okay, so they have these cool sets. They think, well, let's put set effects on legendary items, which in and of itself is a good idea. This isn't a bad concept, okay? The concept of cursed gear is not a bad concept. The ability for us to get more modifiers, etc., more things, they're working in the build, the divide, this is all good concept. The execution of it makes it basically impossible for the average player to actually get a chance to use this, because I'm a non-average player getting access to any of the content I actually need, and I have a couple of the 4-piece sets at stats that are significantly worse than any non-sets, by the way. And I've tried out many of these sets, and none of these sets have made me think it was worth the time, effort, or even thought process of using them. It seems like they're the type of thing where it's like, oh, I happen to have a 2-piece set of Vexed right now. Okay, and that's basically where your brain ends with it, because if you actually focus on this, I mean, I have a 4-piece nettled right now, which is why I have these pieces out. I was trying this 4-piece nettled out. So I have this 4-piece nettled. Now, if I wanted to go to the 6-piece nettled, continue my reduction here, you can see it's down to 50%. If I want to continue the reduction of these seconds and make it where it's a very short, you know, for the nettled shield, etc., and go for like a Thorns type of build is what I was sort of testing out. I was thinking maybe the Thorns type of build with a passive shield, with mount banks, might let you farm AFK, like maybe there's some cool combos. But in order to do this, I'd use all my purification stones just to get to 4-piece. I would have to get a whole new cursed piece and re-roll it for the offhand. It's just not going to happen. It's just not realistically going to happen. And this is before we even realize that I'm literally tanking my stats just to be able to use the dang thing. So, cursed gear for me, and that, I mean, I haven't even talked about the power level yet. That's the other thing. I haven't even talked about the power level. The whip primary attack one literally feels pathetic. I think I hit for like 3,000 damage with it. It's enough damage where like, oh, there's the damage. And sometimes you don't even notice. The only way you actually even notice that you're dealing damage with it is because it has a giant purple animation. Some of them are way better than others. Like the Doom Circle is massive and does more damage. But the primary attack one is in like this low 3-prong and just kind of does dog shit damage. Now I get primary attacks more common than like using an ability or continuous damage ability or control ability or what have you. I get that. Understand it. But it doesn't scream to me when I'm using the cursed gear that I'm going to do a primary attack damage build because of this cursed gear. It doesn't tell me that when I look at the cursed gear that, oh wow, let's actually look at the damage so we can have the real numbers. So like, let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So if I look at the gear, and I have a lot of this gear, I've been messing around with all this gear. If I look at this gear and I see like continuous damage to an enemy under a dark fear will appear under them, dealing continuous damage, this isn't like a huge game-changing thing. I was like, oh, this is really cool, but then when you actually look at it, it's every 90 seconds. So it's not really changing my build. It's just something that happens, and it does 24% of my damage. I can't do a whole build around thinking, wow, now I have this new move that's 24% of my damage every 90 seconds. Like, I'm not going to do a build around that. And I understand that we could get to a 6-piece and reduce the movement, you know, and all that. But again, for the reasons I've stated, getting to the 6-piece continually as your Paragon level is going up and as people are jumping through the hell difficulties isn't really something that's going to happen. So instead of just complaining much, how do you salvage this? Well, first of all, cursed gear, when you salvage it in the essence transfer, it has to give you purification stones. We need too many of them. And not only do we need too many of them, we need them too often. If you want us to both use upgrades as we are going to want to, if you want us to look at the game as it is and say, oh, green upgrades, oh, way better stats, oh, I want to equip this one instead. If you want that to happen, and for that still to be the same playstyle where we're trying to upgrade our combat rating, etc., well, then you're going to have to give us more purification stones, because we're going to need to re-roll these quite often. And I understand we just got more in the latest patch, but we're going to need even more. Okay, we're going to need a lot of these things. So the previous curse gear needs to be salvaged, or when you salvage curse gear, you need to be able to save the essence of it that you salvage, sort of like the essence gear. So if I salvage, like, let me tell you, if I salvage, let's say, this nettled weapon, I can now put a nettled weapon onto a nettled weapon if I want. Because the other problem is, if we get rid of, let's say I get rid of a whole 6-piece set because I got a full new set of upgrades, and I crunch all these and I get 6 stones, I could still literally not even get one of the cursed property I'm trying to replace. So we need a more guaranteed way. In fact, I would argue there is no reason for us to even have to have resources at all to reforge these. These aren't big enough bonus to matter. And if you want cursed sets to be this variety of playstyle and builds, that's not what you made it. You made it where sometimes some of the people will have some of the sets. Okay, if you want everyone to actually get their hands on this stuff and experiment with it before getting frustrated with the game and quitting, then you need to have the cursed items be like the essence transfer system, where once you've unlocked it, everyone can just go and place the cursed gear on. In fact, I would say just roll it in the essence transfer system. It's not game breaking. It is not so imbalanced to the point if you give everyone cursed items, everything's going to change. People are still going to run stun invocations if they get the ability to. And the reality is those are probably better in PvP anyway. So where the balance really matters, you're not affecting. At the moment, cursed gear is a really cool idea, implementation, and I want to encourage the variety of allowing builds, okay? But the implementation of it is one such that very rarely are we often going to actually use cursed items at their pinnacle of the concept when it was created. Not very often are you going to see six sets running around with the set piece that works with it, with the legendary items all being their best legendary items, because again, you're probably going to have to use your non-best items to get to the 6-piece, etc. And with somebody being able to, when they get another upgrade, instantly reroll that upgrade to fit back into the 6-piece set. It's not going to happen. They're going to get another upgrade, it's going to break up the set, they're going to get another upgrade, it's going to break up the set further, and they're just not going to reroll it in the 6-piece. So if you're asking me in my feedback and how cursed items are, the stats are cool. The benefits are cool. I've tried out most of them at this point. I like them. The fact that the negative effect can't be rerolled, only the positive, seems to be a giant L. The actual ability to get 6 pieces of these at a pace in which you will also be having curse set bonuses happening on purpose instead of just randomly happening does not feel to me like the pacing is correct. I think people that actually have curse sets will be having them by accident, not on purpose. And also due just to the extremely long cooldown of these, where it's like 90 seconds on some of these. Yes, it gets reduced the more pieces you have. Even 3-piece reduces it, by the way, which some people don't realize. But as you go through and reduce the cooldown of this, yes, they do get better. But I also am seeing people just do 2-piece sets, like multiple 2-piece sets, instead of actually focusing down on one, which also I think is sort of a balance problem. I would way rather prefer the like 6-piece set is the ultimate. Then it's like 2-piece of this, 2-piece of this, 2-piece of this, and every 90 seconds you get some bonus damage, which is basically where the curse sets are at now. If you go look at the actual leaderboards, I don't think any of the people that you look on the leaderboards, they're currently like super min-maxing this here. He's got primary attack 1, primary attack, so we got 2 primary attacks, okay? Then we have what? A 2-piece of the trail, maybe? Yeah, 2-piece of the trail, and then that's it. So 2-piece of the primary attack, 2-piece of the trail. Let's go pick another random person here. This guy only has 2 pieces of curse gear even on primary attack, so he's going with the primary attack bonus. Here, let's use this one. What we got here? Killing the enemy, you get the surge. After you kill an enemy, you get the surge. So we have a farming set, continuous damage, and continuous damage, and then doesn't have a 6-piece set because this one's illusion and it doesn't have a curse piece there. So you're seeing you're getting some 2-piece sets in here, and that's about it. People are re-rolling to when they can get the 2-piece sets on the gear that's their best gear. Here's a primary attack 1, a dark void 1, continuous damage 1. So those are 3 different pieces here. There's one. He's got one 2-piece set of the continuous. So that's basically what's happening. People are randomly ending up getting with the random sets that they have, and maybe they are able to get 1 or 2 2-piece sets on, and it's just, if it happens to be there, it happens to be there. If that was the design of the cursed gear, that is currently what's happening, and I think what will continue to happen, and people are still just going to use the best gear that drops. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you think about curse gear. Overall, I like the curse gears in the game. I would rather it be in the game than not be in the game. But if you want feedback on how exactly the curse gear is implemented, I don't think it's currently the way that they probably were hoping it would be received, where it's this real focal point. I think it's just something that happens to be in the game, and you're like, oh, cool, I guess I have a 2-piece of this set right now. That's about it. Consider liking the video, subscribing, or leaving your comment to let me know how you feel about the situation. I'll see you on the next one.